Hello, so here we are. After a bit of a whatnot, I got myself all Joe McCann mixed up with what I was trying to do. Right, so just check, you can hear me. We are recording and you can see a question on the screen. Could somebody just yell out a yes or a no for us, please? You can see my screen.
Yes.
Good, okay. Right, so where are we? We're still in Learning Unit 3. We've done a very important section. That was on the receipts from sales, both from credit sales to debtors as well as cash. I've also given you a question, a similar exercise, but on purchases, cash purchases and credit purchases. Right. Then we can use that as a starting point and something to add into the preparation of a cash budget. So that is what I want to do this evening. I want to take you through a cash budget because there isn't really anything suitable in the textbook. So you may come across something like this in your task 2, and also there's a strong chance of it in the exam. Right. Tomorrow night, I have the Finance 2A students who do the BBSC program. So it's exactly the same module, but they had a request last week for me to do the purchases question with them together. So they asked if they could try it ahead of time, and then we can get it sorted out. So what I think I'm going to do is I will share that recording that I'm going to do tomorrow night with you. So at least you've got a recording on the purchases. And then possibly I might share this recording I'm doing now with you guys. I could share it with them. So normally, as you know, we would be combined, but because of timetabling issues and other lectures, etc., it didn't work out. So as we approach the build up to the exams, there's quite a lot we need to get through. And I was thinking that this may be a good way to cover more ground, sort of killing two birds with the one stone situation. Doing something with you on a Tuesday, a different thing with them on a Wednesday, and then sharing the missing recording with the relevant group. So I think that will be a good idea. So let's get cracking over here. So let's see straight away, okay, what the question says. Let's have a look here, see if my highlighter is working this time, because it was all misbehaving last week. There, cash budget, right? For how many months? 2, June and July. So remember I said that you will not get a question for many months. 2, maximum 3. Otherwise, it's too time consuming and it's too mark intensive. Right, so why I wanted to do this for you is because I need to show you the format, how you would set out a cash budget. So for the moment, we're just going to forget about what's in here. I'm just going to flip to the answer and just show you the layout. So here we go. See, obviously, a heading, as always. A column for each month. How do we set it out? Always kick off with an opening balance. Then make yourself a heading called cash receipts. Make yourself a heading lower down for cash payments. Then read your question, because each question has different items in it. So make yourself a list by reading the transactions, a list of all of the possible receipts from cash in the form of cash, and then just itemize them in there. Then you're going to do the same. You're going to read the question again, and you're going to find when is the business paying cash. So where are your outflows? And you would list them like that. Sometimes, as you see, you would have to leave some space for some workings. And then let's see, when we've finished, maybe let's just go at the beginning. Let's get the flow of this. Let's go with this color. So we're going to start up here with a opening cash balance. Notice it has a bracket around it. What does that mean?
It's a loss?
Sorry?
It's a negative or a loss?
Oh, a negative bank balance as in an overdraft, yes, overdraft. So the bank can either have a positive balance, or if it's overdraft, don't forget the brackets, because this is a possible mistake in a cash budget. You have to be very careful as to what has a bracket around it, because you need to minus those, and what doesn't. So cash inflows, cash outflows, that's the name of the game in this kind of a question. So if you forgot to put the brackets around that, you're getting off to a rather disastrous start. Right. So if it says overdraft, like it does in our question, additional information number 8, that just told me I must put the bracket. Then forget the workings for the moment, but we're going to have, in this case, 3 areas where cash is coming in. What you then want to do is you want to add them all together, and you're going to pop in the total of the cash receipts there. If you wanted to, oh, I've only just thought of it now. We could do that. Not great with colors here. You could, for example, do this. Ooh, all right, like that. Like you sometimes see on a balance sheet. That would actually make it look quite zhuzh if I could just fit that in there like that. You could put a blocky around all of the cash receipts and pop the total on top. That's quite good. Then you're going to come to your cash payments. Once you've got the values all worked out, we're going to do likewise over there. Sorry, it's quite hard drawing freehand here. So here, oops. Sometimes quicker is better. So here, there. So we're going to pop those totals at the top. Notice the brackets. Then what do? Let's start at the top. So we're going to start with the opening balance of a negative 24,200. We would add the 124 cash receipts. We would minus the total of the cash payments, and that would get us down here to the bottom. The closing balance has remained an overdraft because the cash payments exceed the cash receipts and the small opening overdraft balance. Then what do? Just remember that number at the bottom, 11,780. We end June with it. So what do? We start July with that closing balance. Then we're going to add July's 3 receipts of cash. We're going to minus all of the payments for July, and that is eventually going to turn us into down here a small positive balance at the end of the period. So that's how you will set up a cash balance budget, sorry. But now let's get stuck into all of the workings. So let's read the question. Right, so let's find, first of all, the information. There's always going to be something with sales. And what kinds of sales do we have? You see, there's 2. There's cash. Make sure you get the correct percentage, 20. There's credit, which means that must be how much? Must be 80%. Don't forget that. This here is like we did yesterday. That is how the debtors are going to be paying us. Right. Here, those are the receipts. Number 6 here. I'm including that as a receipt because we have an investment that's paying out. Maturing is paying out. So we're going to do what? Receive it. So those 3 things in green are the receipts. Now let's have a look at the payments. So here we have one of the main ones. We'll always have purchases. It says some is credit. So what must you not then forget? Others will be cash. And then obviously you must get the split, 80-20. So let's go with the red to represent the payments. So here's one, number 3, cash and credit purchases. Here's a loan that we're having to pay. Here are some sundry expenses. Here is rent. So as you can see, we've got 5 cash outflows. So let's start, first of all, with the easy one, number 1, the cash sales. And the months that we're doing, remember, are only June and July. So this is a bit of a rewind to last week. Practice makes perfect, as we say. So we're going to find 20% of the sale in June, which is 130,000, that we will receive in June. Then let's do July. The total sale is 145. Cash will be 20% received in July. So because that was quite short and sweet, you see what I've done here. I've just done it as a working in a bracket underneath. So 20% of the relevant amount, and we write the number at the top. The investment is the easy one. Investment is number 6. It's just a once-off of 120,000, and that is only taking place in July. So let's look at that. That's this one over here. But we do need to pay some attention to that number and that number. Reason being, have a look here. This bit. The debtors take quite some time to pay us. So we don't want any mess ups here. If you're good at this and you trust yourself, you can do the workings in the budget like we did for cash. But I don't really recommend it because sometimes it just becomes a bit clumsy and you might look at the wrong spot and make a silly mistake. So I'm going to suggest we do a little table, one of those schedules like we did last week, and get this sorted. So let us have a look at how the debtors pay. So we're going to get 60% 1 month after. We're going to get 35% 2 months after, and the rest we are never getting. It's a bad debt. Okay, so let's get the timing sorted, shall we? Right, so how far back do we need to go? Basically, 2 months. Because we're looking here, we want to have the cash budget for June. So are we going to start by looking at a sale in June? No, because 2 months before that, we are still going to be receiving some money. So we go backwards, don't we? So we will begin actually in April. So let me show you my little table over here. It's exactly the same as last week, but smaller. Less happening in it. So what do we always do? The month of the sale. Then we take the total sale and convert it to the credit sale. The months for which we must record the receipts go there. But what's happening down here on the left-hand side, that is going to be the month in which the sale took place. So remember now we're lagging 1 month and 2 months. So sale, credit sale first of all. If we remember in the question it says cash is 20, that's why we're doing 80% here. Converting the total sale, step 1, into credit sale. So we're just going to take the values out of the table. And I just want to show you exactly where they are. So this one over here, the 125,400 is the sale total for April, total sale for May, total sale for June. What about July? Nope. Our first payment will be received in August. And we are only starting and doing the cash budget for July and June. So August will be too late. So that's why we're not interested in the sale in July. So let's have a look at my working. So we're going to get, first of all, our 3 credit sale numbers here. These are the important things. Remember, hey, from last week. Now we're going to get the timing. Sale, April. When do we collect? Some in May, but I don't want May. Where do I start? I'm only starting in June. So only the second installment of the 35% I'm going to record. That's where I get the 35,112. And that's the final installment. The rest is written off. That's why we just put a little streepy thing there in July for nil. Okay. Now we come to May. Here's my credit sale. Let's get the timing sorted out. First receipt is a month later. That gets me to June. What's the percent? 60. Second and final receipt, the second month after the sale. So that gets me to July, 35%. There are my numbers. Now let's get to June. First installment, 1 month later. So that gets me to July. The percentage is the 60%. No discounts in this particular case. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to take the amounts, the two amounts that are sitting in June, the 35, the 63. I'm going to add, pop the total down there. I'm going to take this amount, the 37, the 62, going to add them for July, pop the total down there. Now it's only the totals that I'm interested in. Because what is this 98 something? That is the total receipts from debtors in the month of June, collected from sales in a selection of months. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 98 and do what with it? Put it here. What am I going to do with the 99 for July? Going to put it in there. So you see how preparing a little table first is a big stress reliever. Okay. And it declutters the whole thing. Otherwise, it starts looking really messy. But how are we doing so far? Nothing really new, because this was a repeat from last week, but we've just incorporating it into something else. Do shout if there's any panic or confusion. Are we all right? Let's hope so. So now we're going to take those amounts like I explained. The cash sale, the receipts from debtors for June, add them and pop them at the top here, the 124. Now let's get on to the cash payments. The question, all right, would help. So we're going to look at purchases. Shall we do cash first? Because that's easier. 80% here is credit, therefore cash is going to be the other 20%. Now, where are we going to get the info? We don't have to go, luckily, via cost of sales and all that stuff. We're going to look here. Here are the purchases values in the actual info. Right, so I'm going to simply find for June, for cash purchases, 20% of the 84,500. For July, 20% of the 94. Let's get those numbers sorted out. Remember, here's my working, the 20% and the 20%. Next up is the payment to the creditors. Right, so as we know, it's 80%. And how do we pay? Quite nice and easy over here. Let's highlight that in a bit of a different color. Paid all one shot during the month that follows. So it's collected in one amount. Purchases paid in one amount. And it's 1 month later. So we do not need to actually do a table here because it simply is going to be lagging by 1 month. Are we clear on that? We are paying one shot when 1 month later. We lag by a month. So we don't have to split it. So it's not such a drama. So we don't need to do a table for this one. So we're looking for June. So obviously we need to go and get the purchases for when? First of all, must be May. So here's the purchases for May. Step number 1, I must change the total purchases to credit purchases by finding 80% and lag it by a month so that we will pay in June. So should we have a bit of a whirl at that one? So there we go. 80% is going to get me the credit component. May's purchases, because we lag a month, that's where we get the 68. For July, step number 1, find the credit component, which is 80%. But for the previous month, that 84 will be for June, because we lag a month. That's it for the payments to creditors. What else? Nice easy one, number 4. A loan repayment, a once off in July. So we would record that. No problem. But how's this over here? With the sundry expenses, they paid in cash. That's why they're going to be in the cash budget. But look at this. It includes depreciation. Can anybody tell me now what we need to do with this? Who's feeling bright and adventurous tonight and wants to tell me what I must do with that? Must I leave it? Must I do something with it? Must I adjust
I would say to
it?
leave it, miss.
Leave it. Okay, so which budget are we doing? What's the name of it?
The cash budget.
It is, exactly. So now we say depreciation. Do we actually pay cash for depreciation?
No.
No. Right, it's just an accounting book entry. So this is very important. The cash budget can only include items of a cash nature. So if something is not cash, it's not in the cash budget. So what do we now have to do with it? Take it out. We have to subtract it because in here is, oh, running out of colors. Here's the sundry, the 13 and the 14.5. That though includes 1.5. It shouldn't be in the cash budget, so we must minus it. Right, so take note of that. Oh, wait, I'm in the wrong spot here, sorry. I'm in the depreciation one. So see what we're going to do. In the sundry expenses, check out this. I must do what? Minus the depreciation because it is not in the form of cash. Look out for that. Right, I think everybody has now learned something. Then let's look at rent. So rent is going to be a cash expense. Notice what's happening over here. Question mark, question mark. But we do at least have some other information. Number 7 says rent is going up in July by 10%. So what's it going to be then for June? No change in June, so it'll be, yep, fabulous. It'll still be 15. However, in July, I need to increase it by 10%. Now, is it going to be in the cash budget? Yes, because the rent is paid in cash. So let's fast forward here. Just maybe do a bit of an NB on this one. No adjustment in June. But what am I doing here? Timesing by 1,1. That's finding 10% and adding it on. So the rent has gone up to 16,500. And then like I explained at the beginning, on a monthly basis, we're going to take all of the payments, remember with brackets around, payments are brackets for negative, add all of the payments up, and that will give us this number over here, this one, the 112,196. Likewise, the 215 for July, then just go with the flow of it again. We kick off June with a negative balance of 24,200. We add a positive receipts of the 124,616. We minus a total of 112,196, ends minus 11,780. Begin the following month with that. Do the same thing. Add the total of the receipts minus the total of the payments gives us the closing balance of a positive 20,714. And there you have it. That is a cash budget. I think it's quite nice. If that comes out in your task, I think you're going to like it. But you would be fumbling around all over the place trying to find out how to set it out. Not very helpful in the textbook. Okay, so did you enjoy that one? I tried to make up something short, sweet, yet relevant.
Yes, sorry, ma'am. Where did you
Yes.
get the opening balance for June?
Oh, here in the question. Here we go. It has to be given to you over here. This one. There. Cash in the bank at the end of May. End of May means beginning of June. So this over here, let's actually just get that in. That therefore means opening balance for June. The question will always have to tell you what the opening balance for the first period is. You can't be required to calculate that or make that up by yourself. Are we sorted there? They will have
Yes,
to
thank
tell
you.
you. Sure. Then what else comes from this unit? Ask task 3.
Can I just ask a question quickly?
Of course,
Please?
yes, yeah.
So if we indicate the opening balance, which is in overdraft, in red, would that be acceptable or must it be in brackets?
I would say put brackets just to be on the safe side, because I'm a bit worried because, you know, when you do your exams, the scripts get scanned in. And what happens if I get a black and white script? Then I can't see it.
Okay.
On the
thank
safe
you.
side, yes. Okay. Anything else? Okay. So in, let's do this here. Let me do a type and let's go a bit bigger. Right. Oh, wait, and caps would be good. Ask task 3. Has anyone had a look at that monster yet? Ask task 3 is long. You should have a better idea on how to do it now after this question. But what could help you for ask task 3 is if you go and have a look first at question 3.9 in the book. It's very similar. But you can't get going at the start because you lack too much information. So remember how you could possibly get gross profit. You could say your sales minus cost of sales gives us GP. If you've got sales and GP, but you're missing cost of sales, you would subtract GP from sales. But what you do if you're missing two things, like you are in both of these questions, I just want to help you here with something. They ask you to calculate the markup percent. The reason that they do that is that possibly you can use it to work something out. So this comes from accounting. You're not going to find the markup percent in this textbook. So that's why I want to just throw it in here. So it's on a recording and everybody is aware of it. I'm not sure if you can remember how to calculate a markup percent. Anybody, any takers on it? Just before I reveal it. Anyone?
Sorry,
Markup
ma'am.
percent? Gross profit divided by cost of sales times 100 will give me the markup percent. Because just remember what businesses do. They buy in stock at cost price. They add a markup on, that creates the gross profit. So the markup percent is the GP as a percentage of the cost of sales. Please remember that, everyone. Extremely useful. And you could find the markup that way. But I'm going to suggest that you actually take the other route, and everybody did this in the task. How do we find, can anyone remember, the GP percent?
Gross profit over the sales, man.
That's it. Well done. So gross profit over total sales times 100 will give me the GP percent. Right. Now, if we know what the GP percent is, surely we can find out the gross profit. So here, I'm just going to give you a hint. Get a different color. Yeah, let's change the color there. If the question says something like they have a constant markup, that means it stays the same. So if it says constant markup, you can use any historical info to work out the GP percent or the markup percent, because they say it stays the same. So you will look at the bottom of question 3.9 and you will use the older information to calculate the GP percent and the markup percent. I would definitely recommend that you're going to do this one. Yeah, that you're going to go the route. I want the pen. What's going on? I want this. I want the GP percent. Leave the markup percent alone, because that could get you in a bit of a pickle. So I'm just going to give you a small example over here. Let us say, for argument's sake, that the GP percent is equal to, let's make it an easy number, 20%. And we know that total sales, let's say, what are we doing? 5,000 Rand. Can anybody tell me what gross profit is then? If we know that the gross profit percent is 20%, and we know that sales, let's say, is 5, what is the GP? How are we going to find it?
Ma'am, you're going to take the total sales and multiply it by the gross profit percentage.
Of course, yes, so easy. So if gross profit percent is 20%, if you understand what GP percent means, it means the percentage that the GP is of sales. So we're going to find 20% of 5,000, which is 1,000. Then if you've got the GP, what's the thing that you also would need to do? You're going to then say that your sales minus the GP is going to give us the cost of sales. And then you're up and running in question 3.9 and the ICE task. So scribble that down, I would suggest, on a piece of paper. I would avoid going the markup percent route. So that's this little section done. Then there's only one more thing in this unit. It's coming up for 6:45. Do we have time just to rattle on a bit, just to do one short thing? It's not a question. It's just a concept and a formula. Can I do that quickly? Yeah, we do.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
So let's have a look at this one. It's in the form of my notes, all right, which I've already uploaded for you in the lecture resources. Right. So what's going on here? Different kinds of interest rates. So there are many. We can have nominal rates. We can have real rates. We can have effective rates, annual percentage rates, a whole lot of them. The only one that we are concerned with in this module is this one over here. Oh, what happened there? Oh dear, no, we don't want highlights. We don't want highlights. That was scary. How did that happen? What did we do? Not many contrast colors. I'm bored with these things. Here. Effective rate there. This is the one that we're looking for. Now, how do you know if something is an effective annual interest rate or not? I'm going to simply tell you. So the question is going to say, there's this particular bank and it has an interest rate of, and they give you a %, and then they say how it's compounded. So first up, interest rates are always percentages, and they are normally per annum, but they can be compounded in various ways. So we're going to read the question, and if it says it's compounded in any way except annually, then we know it is not an effective rate, so we need to make it an effective rate. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert a nominal rate to an effective rate, and then just a reminder there, you only do it if it's not compounded annually. So for example, if it says it's compounded monthly or weekly or daily or quarterly, it's not effective. You need to convert it with a formula. So what's this other stuff I've got at the top here? We've got something called a nominal interest rate. So this is simply a market interest rate. Let's type that in here. Market interest rates are the rates that the banks quote. And they also do not include the inflation rate. If we want to adjust a nominal rate for inflation, then we actually have a real interest rate. That's something that you would do, let's say, in economics. So when you encounter the word nominal interest rate, it's simply the rate as determined in the market, and that's the amount that the bank or whoever will quote you. The minute it's not compounded annually, we must convert it into an effective rate. And how do we do this? See, here is a formula. So you'll be okay for the task because the formula will be in your book or maybe on this slide, but not the case in the exam. So you would have to remember this. Right, so let's get the order sorted out, shall we? I did this in my campus class yesterday, and they got so many wrong answers because what did they try and do? They tried to use the brackets and enter it into the calculator. If in particular you have a Casio calculator, it reads the info in the wrong order and then gives you an answer, but it gives you a wrong answer. So we're not going to do it like that. We're going to follow the logical step. So step number 1, I'm going to read it out for you. You're going to read the question and you're going to find what the nominal rate is. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take that nominal rate, and I just want to tell you something very important here. This, you must decimalize it. Now, do we know what decimalize means?
To put it to decimals.
Yes, it must be 0, something. So that means like if it is 20%, you don't put 20, you put 0,2. If it happens to be 5%, not 5, but 0,05. All right. If you don't know how to do that in your head, just take the amount and take the calculator, divide by 100, turns it into a decimal. Okay. Then what is this M? Right, I've got the M down the bottom here. M is the number of compounding periods per year. I should actually rather type that in there. number of compounding periods per year. Let's work some of those out. If it's monthly, the value of M will be 12. If it's quarterly, M will take on a value of 3. If it's weekly, just be careful on the weekly one. If it says that there are 12 weeks in a month, then there will be 48 weeks in a year. If it doesn't say that, then how many weeks are there in a year? So look out for the weeks. The weeks can either be 48, and there'll be 48 if it says that there are 4 weeks in a month. If it's not 48, I'm just trying to tap and get sorted here, it will be 52. If it's daily, it will be 365. Right, so step 1 is you sort out the number of compounding periods. When you've done that, what do you do with it? I will show you what you do with it over here. This part here, that is step number 1. You take the nominal rate as a decimal and you divide it by M. The next thing you're going to do here, you're going to add 1 onto it. That's step 2. Then you see there's a big square bracket around the whole thing. The next step you're going to do on your calculator is this. You're going to take what answer you had and you're going to raise it to the power of M. Lastly, you're going to subtract 1 from your answer. And finally, you're going to multiply it by 100, and that will turn it into a percent. So let's go again. The nominal rate in decimal form divided by M equals, on the calculator, plus 1 equals. Raise it to the power of M equals. Minus 1 equals. Times 100 equals a percent. Right, now, I just want to make sure that you know this. How do you raise something to the power of on a calculator? So if it's not squared, do you know what to do? Say you want to raise it to the power of 12 or to the power of 48. Do you know which button to hit on your calculator? It's the Y to the X. So please give this one a shot. Make sure that you know how to do that. Then what else could they ask you to possibly do in this kind of a question? So once you have actually calculated these things, they can say now, let us rank in order of preference. So in preference for who? Either a borrower or an investor. Those are the only 2 options. So remember, interest now works 2 ways. You can borrow it, in which case you pay interest. Or you can invest money and then you can earn interest. So if you are earning interest, which interest do you prefer? The highest. So if you are an investor, how is it going to go? From the highest to the lowest. So you'll simply look at the answers that you got and you'll select the highest percentage, followed by the next, and the least preferable is the lowest one. Okay. But if you happen to be a borrower, you want to pay as little interest as possible. So the order of ranking will be different. It will go from the lowest one to the highest one. And that is all that they can ask you on this. So you need to practice. You need to go and do question 3.5. I'm pretty sure they'll ask you on this. I'm just thinking, better safe than sorry. Should we do one now? Should we spontaneously make up one and get you through it in the correct order? Shall we do one, or are you comfortable?
I don't mind we do one, ma'am.
Okay, let's make up something. So let's say that it is 18%, and let's say it is compounded weekly, and let's say that there are 4 weeks per month. There. How are we going to now calculate the effective annual rate? So I'm going to rather just have to, because I can't do all the brackets and whatnot, do it freehand. So step 1 is we're going to take that 18%, remember, which is 0.18. What am I going to do? I'm going to divide by the number of compounding periods. So that would give us how many weeks in the year? 12 times 4, 48. So that's my very first thing. Then I put a bracket around it. And let me pick up my calculator. 0.18 divided by 48 equals. And I save that on the screen. Then I go plus 1. Put that in the calculator. Equals. Then I put a big square bracket around the whole thing. And I go to the power of 48. So now I've got my answer on the screen. I go y to the x, 48 equals. Then I go minus 1. Last step. I go times 100. And round always to 2 decimals would give me 19.68%. Let's write the number at the top. Equals 19.68%. And that's it. That is how you do it. Do you notice something interesting here? That we started with 18%, but why is it higher? Why is it nearly 20%? It's because of the power of the compounding. Because it's compounded weekly, there's 48 lots of interest that accrue to it. So an 18% nominal rate becomes a 19.68 effective rate. What else, if you're having a look in the book? Oh, we are a little bit out of space here. Let's go here. There's one other thing. I have to just put it at the top. Annual percentage rates is not prescribed. So what does that mean? Leave it out. No questions, no theory, nothing on annual percentage rates, not prescribed. So that then gets us to the end of Learning Unit 3. So hopefully we've made some sense out of it, because it can be a little bit daunting for some people with all of the timings of the payments, the receipts and whatnot. But I think everybody should now be pretty good in terms of Learning Unit 3. So practice some questions. I will put up some more, and then next week we can get cracking with Learning Unit 4. All right, so I am going to come back into here in case there's any questions, and I'm going to stop sharing the screen. So before I stop sharing, does anybody want to quickly ask a question while that was still up? It did become a bit overfull. But are we all right?
All good, my side, Mas.
Yeah, I will stop sharing that. Right, yeah, I see some other people joined us. Hi, Natasha. Marnie as well. Hello, good to see you. Kev, I saw you did come in a long time ago. Natasha, you're all right. You got over your heart failure from last night. You thought maybe you weren't going to get your mark or something. They've come up with a very bad terminology for deferred. I don't know if you remember. No, it was a term we used to have on campus. So a student wrote the test, let's say, and for certain reasons, if they couldn't write, they had what they called a replacement test. Online, you could get a extension. Now they've changed the name of it and they've called it deferred. But where I think the problem came in, and then you saw this, you went back into where the assessments are, and because the period for the deferred is about to open up, they went and they changed the name of it. I saw that as well, and I thought, what is going on here? Because it changed how everything looked for me as well. It removed the dates and the times that I was looking for. But please don't worry about that. You will know if you are doing a deferred, and you only do a deferred if you are unable to submit your timed task on the given day, and you qualify and you get approved on the Student Hub. So you, unless you get permission, you ain't doing a deferred. You're going to submit the original one. Okay. So I wanted to just get that in on the recording, even though I did talk about it in the NSS thing. Anyways, any other questions? Any comments?
Yes, Miss,
we
I just
had
want
a-
to say thank you for such a nice lesson. I actually joined late, but as you were explaining, I was able to understand everything. That's how clearly you taught, ma'am. So thank you so much.
Oh, isn't that nice? Thank you. I do try to keep things simple, because what is the point in trying to be all academic and all la-di-da and then no one understands anything? Thank you, Victor. Thank you very much.
Pleasure,
My
miss.
job is to try and get you to understand. Why puzzle over something when you don't have to? Thank you. Huh? Goodness. Thank you. Right. So I'm going to end the recording. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody. We can stick around and we can have a little chit chat if you want, but the formal part of the session is over. So over and out from me.
Have a good evening, miss.
Thank you.
Bye,
Have a good
Sarah.
evening.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Trying to stop the recording. It's a bit of a slow thing.